These are the craziest fights in rugby history.
Trying with ball in hand.
Guys, no.
Michael,
take a look at this.
Let's go, please.
New Zealand against Ireland in 2010 set the tone. Sonny Bill Williams and Cian Healy clashed at the ruck, and within seconds arms were swinging and tempers were boiling over. It wasn't just about the ball anymore, it was about pride. Dylan Hartley and Rory Best locked horns, jersey grips tightened, and fists flew as the hookers gave the rivalry a nastier edge.
Discipline! Discipline now! Discipline now!
And in 2007 gave us one of the sport's most iconic single blows. Sebastian Chabals stepped into a scuffle and floored Chris Masseau with a devastating punch, the caveman living up to his brutal reputation.
More and O'Connell.
Let go.
It's getting pretty ugly now.
By 2013, the Rugby Championship had its moment. Eben Etzebeth squared up to Scott Fardy, and in an instant both men were swinging, teammates piling in as order vanished from the test match.
What abuse is being flung at one another.
But none of these compared to what unfolded at Welford Road in 2011. Leicester against Northampton, Manu Tuilagi against Chris Ashton. The derby was already boiling, but Manu snapped and unleashed a barrage of punches that left Ashton reeling. Teammates poured in, officials wrestled bodies apart, and the stadium roared in disbelief.
It's a shove, no more than that. Tuilagi now throws a punch, Ashton, and bang. Well, Tuilagi will be cited, and Chris Ashton has had an injustice done to him. That is disgraceful. I don't even think there's a Leicester fan who would argue that the referee touched him.
It wasn't just a fight, it was one of the most infamous moments in Premiership history. A rivalry immortalised in violence. England versus Wales in 2020 gave us another flashpoint. Joe Marler grabbed Alan Wynne-Jones in a moment that sent shockwaves through the sport, and the furious reaction triggered a scuffle that had everyone piling in. Super Rugby delivered its share of fireworks too. In 2015, Sonny Bill Williams and Will Skelton collided in midfield, and before long the two giants were swinging at each other as teammates rushed to break it up.
Now it goes out to Arnold.
Oh, super tackle.
All in all it was from Sonny Bill Williams. Aaron Smith comes through, but the penalty will be awarded.
And Toulon against Clermont in 2014 provided a full-scale bench-clearing brawl. What began with a shove in the pack became chaos as players from both sides stormed the pitch. But Rugby League's Battle of Brookvale in 2011 remains on another level entirely. Manly against Melbourne turned from a grudge match into the sport's most infamous brawl. One dirty tackle set it off, and within seconds both benches had emptied, fists flying everywhere in a storm of pure chaos.
The century. And there's still... Hang on, we better stay. Oh, it's on again! It's on again! Glenn Stewart and Adam Blair. Here come the reinforcements. Now they've come from the bench as well. Still at each other. The
Paris derby between Stade Francais and Racing 92 in 2012 followed a similar pattern. A simmering rivalry erupted into fists, jerseys ripped and players dragged apart in the middle of the field. Clermont and Leinster clashed in 2010, and it wasn't the rugby that caught the headlines. Jamie Cudmore and Nathan Hines locked up at the ruck, and neither man was interested in stepping back. Punches flew, jerseys stretched, and two of Europe's hardest enforcers gave us a fight that was every bit as fierce as the match itself.
In the final seconds, Para looks around.
A year later, the Rugby World Cup kicked off in brutal fashion as New Zealand faced Tonga. The Pacific Islanders were never shy of a confrontation. And then came one of the ugliest moments ever seen in the Super League. Wigan's Ben Flower lashed out at St Helens Lance Hohaya in the very first minute of the 2014 Grand Final. One punch floored him, the second left him unconscious. The stadium fell silent in shock as Flower was sent off, and the incident went down as one of the most infamous moments in rugby league history.
It looked to be a points thrown by a Wigan player out of St Helens man. St Helens took exception to it and flew in. Was it Ben Flower?
Walk away, mate.
Not to high, hasn't moved. He's still now being treated by 2 physios and a doctor.
There's Ben Flower here. Keep an eye on that. That's a red card, Sloth. That's a red card. On the field, the one on the ground might be the problem.
It's a send-off for Ben Flower in the first 2 minutes of the grand final.
2012, South Africa versus New Zealand. Dean Grayling flies into Richie McCaw with a forearm smash that looked more like something out of WWE than rugby. McCaw hit the deck, fists flew in the ruck, and Grayling was lucky to escape with just a yellow.
And it's a cheap shot, and he didn't get away with it. If you're going to throw a cheap shot, make sure you don't do it in front of the touch judge. And probably, 10, 12,000 people in the main stand over there.
And the sighting commissioner, probably.
That was nothing compared to Bakkies Botha. 2010 Tri-Nations, All Blacks versus Springboks. Jimmy Cowan never saw it coming. A blatant headbutt off the ball. The referee had no choice. Botha was sent packing, banned for 9 weeks, and his reputation as rugby's ultimate enforcer was sealed in one brutal moment. Club rugby gave us its share of chaos too. 2009 Amlin Challenge Cup final, Northampton Saints against Bourgoin. What should have been a showpiece final turned into a scrap. A shove in the ruck, a swing of the fists, and suddenly both packs were at it. Players piling in, officials trying to separate bodies. It was mayhem under the lights.
On the floor, he's a very volatile customer, is Neil Best. Very volatile. And again, Freer is in there. And this is more like the bagarre we were talking about earlier on.
And if you thought that was messy, the French top 14 said, "Hold my beer." Toulon versus Stade Francais, 2009. A bench-clearing brawl that felt more like ice hockey than rugby. Punches flying, replacements charging in from the sideline, chaos spilling everywhere. The referee barely had control, and the match became infamous overnight. 5 years later, France delivered again. 2014 Top 14 final, Toulon against Castres. The whistle had already gone, but tempers hadn't cooled. One shove set it off, and in seconds the pitch was swarming. Champions one moment, scrappers the next. The top 14 proving once again that nobody does rugby carnage quite like the French. But the French league had an even darker chapter. 2016, Brive versus Grenoble. A full-on mass brawl, fists and boots flying in every direction. This wasn't a scuffle, it was a war. Both benches cleared, the crowd on their feet, and the footage went viral across the rugby world. It was the top 14 at its most notorious. And still, nothing compares to what happened on the Lions Tour of 2001. Waratahs versus the British and Irish Lions. Ronan O'Gara was on the floor when Duncan McRae lost his head completely. 11 punches in a matter of seconds, all while O'Gara lay helpless. McRae was sent off, banned for 7 weeks, and the image of a bloodied O'Gara became one of the most shocking moments in rugby history.
McRae's got to go. He's got to go. That is terrible. That's about as bad as it gets. This is no debate.
Just hold a second, right? Okay, the penalty is... Well, the penalty is against you, right? It's going to be a red card as well. You hit there and you punch the guy several times on the ground. Okay? It's a red card on the touch judge recommendation. Okay?
It is a red card. Off Duncan McRae.
From Sonny Bill's wild swings to Manu's barrage to Ben Flower's knockout, rugby has seen some brutal moments that cross the line. These fights are part of the sport's history, for better or worse, and they'll be replayed for years to come. If you enjoyed this look back at rugby's craziest fights, make sure to like the video, drop a comment with your favourite brawl, and subscribe for more Rugby Throwback.